So the question is, you're going to run a webinar, and the whole point of you running that webinar is to sell people into something. Now, Irene mentioned this morning as well, that she's tried previously doing this and she didn't get a result from it. It didn't work, okay? This does work, but it takes testing and trialing. I'm going to use me as an example just because, not because I did it right, because I'm still reflecting on what I've done and how I can do it better. But over 10 days, so what I did is I created a webinar. I called it something that was topical and trendy. I considered my audience right now, their pain points and what they're looking for and what they'd be prepared to pay for. I gave myself 10 days and I knew it would be a lot of work to do it in 10 days. And that's why the next webinar is actually going to be on the 23rd of April. So it gives myself a little bit more time to market that, because everything starts with a list. So I've been listening to Russell Brunson. He's the ClickFunnels dude. And he's a big fan of webinars and selling from webinars. And he says that you can sell a webinar up to $2,500 if you do it correctly. If you structure the webinar correctly, but you have to have a list. So number one, because Ingrid asked for 3 things. So number one for Ingrid is go and write down your list, okay? So for those businesses right now who are not doing webinars, you're still doing this. You're still looking at your list. Who are your current clients right now who need you? So for those who are doing the webinars, you're going to be writing your list on who right now needs what you're offering in your webinar. Who are those people? And you're not just going to talk about gender and specifics and pain points. What I want you to do as well is I want you to go, what type of people are there? So what Facebook groups are there that have those people in there? Okay. What jobs have those people in there? Like what type of people, not just the type of person, but what vocation do they have? We have to, and for those of you who are not with or a part of BX, because obviously I belong to this networking group called BX, they work on referral partners. So it's not talking about the client here, it's talking about who already has those clients. So the referral partner is who already has those clients. So what business coaches already have those clients that you're not in competition with? Okay. Irene, do you have a question?
What about in our case where it's not a specific business, because for the care calling, everybody has a parent or a grandparent. It's not a job specific, like I can't approach photographers or architects. It is a lot broader.
It's a bit harder, but for example, Lizzie, who's on here today, she also has a business where they do car rentals. So they're a car rental business. And Lizzie was talking about how many of her clients travel to the Gold Coast to go and look after their, to go check after their parents or sons or brothers or sisters or whoever. And now they can't travel here anymore. So having a conversation with Lizzie about, hey, do you know of anybody right now who's contacted you who hasn't been able to travel to the Gold Coast to go and see their parent? I can help them. Does that make sense, Irene? Are you still muted?
Yes, that makes sense. So, cool. Okay, I'll give Lizzie a call. Will she have details like that?
Yeah, Lizzie, I mean, Lizzie's on right now. Lizzie, if you can, I don't know if she's busy doing something right now. If she could chat, that would be, just enter it into the chat box there, Lizzie, or unmute yourself. But what my whole example, I mean, I'm lucky I had to have Lizzie on there at the moment, which is really cool. But what my point with that is that I want you to think about who has your clients, who has access to your clients, who has access to your clients that you're not in competition with. So many people go business coaches, but a lot of business coaches teach marketing. So I'm looking for an old school business coach who does not teach marketing, who's happy to be a referral partner. So it has to start with a list. Everything starts with a list. So in that list is who is your customer right now, and describe them. So your avatar, because it's changed. It's definitely changed. Alison had an emergency meeting with me last week where we went and defined her new offer. and it's changed. Their key messaging changed. The person has changed. So who is that new person, and write them up. The next thing is who already has those people. Who has those people already and would be happy to do a collaboration with you. Okay. And the third thing is
this point number 2, Chantal?
No, it's 1A, B, and C. Ingrid. So A is your avatar, B is your referral partner, and C is, because it's still your list, and C is, and C for that is, let me get back on track, and C is, it'll come to me. Give me 2 seconds because I've lost it now.
Collaborate with.
Yeah, it's no, it's who you already know. Okay, so imagine you throw a stone into a pond. Inside the center of the stone, you've got your family and friends. You've got those people who know, like, and trust you. Then outside of that, you've got people who have had a sniff of you a few times. You've come in front of them and they're curious. Then outside of that, there's people who don't like you at all. We don't want those ones, but they're there. And then outside of that, it's complete strangers. So what happens is people always want to start on the outside and they want to try and get strangers. But from your list, I want you to consider, who do you already know? Do you already know business coaches who have those people? Do you are you in a networking group and they've already got, like, who can connect you to those people? So it's like phone a friend. Who can you count on right now and let them know and say, hey, do you know anybody who's looking for this offer? Can I ask you now, would you mind sharing it? If it's going to add value to your database, would you mind sharing it? So here's an example. Paula Brand, Small Business Expos. She runs a small business expos. She runs a small business expos. I do Facebook marketing. She had an emergency last week, contacted me. I helped her out with something. She said, Chantal, oh, thank you so much for taking the call. How can I help you? And I said, please, could you just share the webinar? And she said, yes, because my webinar on how to get your business online is relevant to my community of small business expo holders. So by all means, I'll share to my network. And she's got a ginormous network. So it's still about the list. So you've got your database, which is your email list. So that's A, B, C, D. That we're on D now. D is your database. C would have been your, who do you already know? Like who around you is already doing it that you can actually ask? Because we need to go and ask them to share our stuff and support our stuff. Now, they're only going to share it. They're only going to share it or support it if it's relevant to them. So I'm not asking you to spam. I'm asking you, is it relevant to them? If it's relevant to them and it's relevant to their network and it adds value, it's not spammy, and they will share it for you. And this is how you will get your webinar or your offer out to somebody else. Now, this applies to, I was talking to Alison and she said the same thing, engagements down. Kylie has said engagements down. Kylie, I'd like you to have a look at what Alison's done this week. All right, after our meeting, all of you can have a look on Alison Dunlop Kinesiology. We created a new offer of an enlightenment session where you can pull a card, and we're like, well, the engagement's really down right now. People aren't engaging. And I said, well, let's do a competition. If people share a gratitude post or motivational post at the end of the week, Alison's going to pull a card for them. So she's going to engage them the whole way before she gives them something at the end. So how do we get engagement up? We offer something. Now, Narika and Sienna, you can think about it like the whole toilet thing, you know. How much toilet paper does one family use? If you use this amount of toilet paper right now, because toilet paper is trendy, if you use this amount of toilet paper right now, how many days can you live before you've got to go to the shops again? Post how many rolls of toilet paper you've got stashed at home. You could give away a roll of toilet paper if somebody could answer a question successfully, but you have to re-engage people. All right. So don't worry. Do not worry, Ingrid. None of this is A, B, C, or D. We still have A, B, C, or D. These are just other examples that are relevant to everyone else in the group. But if you have a look at what Alison's doing to get her engagement back up, Alison, has that helped? Is that getting the engagement back up?
Yeah, it has a little bit, but I actually was going to draw it tonight, but I think I might extend it to the rest of the week.
Yep. You need to
Yep.
give yourself time. So
Yep.
and Kylie, this is what I was saying for you as well. Just re-engage people at the level that they're at right now, and a competition may help. So whether or not you get somebody to choose how many bath bombs are in a container, and at the end of the week you'll post that out to somebody, that might be helpful as well. But have a look at how Alison has done that. And that is to point people to a new service that she's having. So again, that strategy still applies to everybody on this call today. It still applies to everybody on this call today. An example of re-engaging people with an end goal. The end goal is to show them that she's drawing cards and that she has this offer where she will draw a card for somebody. So it's still drawing their attention towards it. Okay, but it starts with a list. And if you go, and this would have been my question to Irene, because I haven't had my session with her. She's been so nicely, we've put it off till the end of the week because I'm just swamped today. But I would have asked, when you do a webinar, there's no point in running a webinar if you haven't prepped your list. One of the things I said to Alison is pick up the phone and let people know you've got a competition on Facebook and send them there. Send them to Facebook to get the engagement going, to get the algorithm going again. All right. What I do want you to realize as well is that Facebook are now, because they have had to send everybody home and they're all working remotely, they've now put in artificial intelligence. There's more artificial intelligence monitoring our stuff at the moment, which means things are happening a little bit differently to how they used to, because we don't have human moderators. We've got AI moderators, artificial intelligence moderators. Okay. So things are happening a bit differently, but pick up the phone, engage your list. Who do you know? Like I can phone Paula Brand. Hey, Paula, I've got this webinar going on. I think it's going to support your community. Would you mind sharing it? Send people to your page. All right. So that was number one, A, B, C, and D. My daughter's cooking pancakes in the background, and I'm like trying to smell this while I'm talking to you all. It's a bit unfair, I reckon. Anyway, so the second thing is, what can you do on Facebook to point people to that webinar? Now, my example is I took 10 days to send people to my webinar. Okay, so what can I do on Facebook? Now, there's a couple inside this, all right? On Facebook, what can you do on your personal profile? Well, on your personal profile, who's your friends? You can let them know if you have an offer. You can let them know who it's for. You can ask them to please tag or share to anybody that they think would gain value from this. That's your personal profile. Okay. On your business page, generating content, showing your expertise, doing Facebook Lives, sharing success stories, and the whole time pointing people towards it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. And we want to instill FOMO in them, fear of missing out. Let them know what they're going to get in that webinar, not what they're going to get. I'm going to give you this and this and this and this. Believe it or not, that's not what they want to know. Like if you're going to use NLP in it, they don't care. What people want to know is what's in it for them. So when you are marketing, it's never about the process of what you're going to do. Norika and Sienna aren't going to go, well, we're going to come and we're going to excavate and we're going to pull out a pipe and we're going to syringe the whatever and extract the root and do the whatever and yank out the shit from the paper, toilet paper, and then put it back in. And like, they're not going to go through the process. It's just we're going to clear a toilet and make it functioning better. All right. And that's a perfect example. Our people are not actually interested in the process. We don't care your special language. We don't care your special big words. No one cares. They just want to know what's in it for them. Why are they going to take time out of their day to listen to your webinar or to look at your offer? Why? Why you? Why are they going to give you that time? And that's what you're going to be doing on your page the whole time. Is just, and this area and this area, and if you do this, you're going to come away with this, and I'm so excited. I've already helped somebody do this, and they've achieved that. And I would love you to achieve this as well. And if you come to this webinar, you can do this. You know, the outcome, you're going to feel like this. Imagine feeling like this. And that's on the page. Now, believe it or not, hope Ingrid doesn't mind me sharing this. Ingrid asked me for feedback because as clients, I'm happily give you feedback on what it is that you're doing. But, you know, Ingrid's posts are beautiful. She did a wonderful Facebook Live, which I shared into the group this morning as well. Remember that we have to have that call to action, even if it's just a question. If it's a question, there needs to be a call to action to let people know. If you're just giving away free stuff, and I'm seeing personal trainers do it at the moment, I'm training every day for free, for free, for free, for free. There has to be an offer somewhere else. What's the point? Like, they're just going to keep raping you for free unless you ask and let them know that you're not a prostitute, that actually you have to pay. Okay? What does the prostitute say when she comes in the door? Before you anything, they handle the money before you even start anything. Same thing. There can't be any surprises. People don't like surprises. So you've got to let people know that, yeah, I'm doing this, but I'm actually drawing attention to this is why I'm doing it. Okay? So with Ingrid's Facebook page, and she said, oh, I'm going to offer you a special offer. Now, when we are nurturing people up to the webinar, I can probably get away with it a little bit more because people already know what I charge. They already know. I kind of have a bigger awareness. My circle's a bit bigger. So I can probably get away with saying, hey, listen, there's going to be a special offer on here because people already know what my prices are. But if people don't know you and you're already offering them something, sometimes that you're going to get a no before they even register for the webinar. And remember, what is the reason for registering for the webinar? The number one reason for you is to get their email address. Straight away, it's to get their email address. The email address is the most important thing. And number two is give value. Number three would be make a sale. So over 10 days, I went in, I followed the strategy, which I'm going through today with you. And after that, I collected 53 brand new email addresses, which were added to my database, which now go into a nurture sequence, which means they're now on my database. They can unsubscribe if they like, but now I can continue to nurture them through email as well as Facebook, because we cannot just rely on Facebook's algorithm. I'm a Facebook strategist, and part of my strategy is get them the hell off Facebook. Because if Facebook does go under, or if the algorithm does go funny, or if artificial intelligence does freak out, you've got to have their email address so you can get them in the emails as well. And my mistake that I learned this year is only up until the end of last year, we weren't getting people's mobile numbers. So now we've got mobile numbers and we're doing it because the latest thing is texting people. So number three, so your third, this is Ingrid, this is number two. And on Facebook, what do? Number one is your personal profile. Number two is your business page. Oh, and I haven't finished talking about the business page, and Naomi brought this up. You have to set up the event. So once you create the webinar, and you have to then create the event on Facebook, and then you've got to follow the principles, which is invite everybody to it, share it to everybody, and make sure that your ticket links and everything work. You've got to make sure that that event is set up so that we can point people to that event. Now, what's more important, pointing them to Facebook or pointing them to the registration link? Pointing them to the registration link. Why? We get the email address. Now, some of you would just download those email addresses and then upload them into your database and send them a message to say, hey, listen, you should always send a follow-up email. Or that can happen automatically through Zapier if you're interested. So the third thing that happens inside Facebook groups, the third thing that happens on Facebook that you have to do is go into the groups. So the reason I chose 10 days is because it gave me 10 days of hashtagging in groups so that I could write up, and this is the hardest part, is writing up content that's going to convert, that's going to get a yes for them registering to attend that webinar. So for those of you not doing webinar, remember, take the webinar word out. It's all about coming up with good copy for your content to get a yes from the person who's reading it. so that every day your groups, now, if you're posting in a group and they do not have your client, remove yourself from the group. If you are in a group and you are following the hashtags and you never get a like, you never get anything, no response, no one is engaging in that group, just remove yourself. There's absolutely no point. You want to go in and you want to find groups that have your ideal client in there, and we want to be respectful of who the founder and the admin are. So for me, if I go into a group that's run by a business coach and they are paying for people to promote in there, I know straight away that they're not going to let me share their content. There's no, either I've got to decide to pay or I've just got to leave that group and not be in there. Paula Brand has groups. She knows I'm adding value to her community. She lets me go into her groups and promote. It's not a problem. I don't pay for anything, but I know. So we have to consider who the founder is, who the admin is, even have a conversation with them, send them a private message and go, hey, this is what I do. I've read your group descriptions. I want to be respectful. I've got a promotion coming up. Would it be okay if I could send it through there? From doing that, I now have people asking me now to be on their podcasts, to contribute to their blogs, or even help them with their content in their groups. So it's good old-fashioned manners. In the olden days, you just wouldn't walk into somebody else's business and go, me, 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 me. You would make friends with the business owner. So groups are the same. See who they are, make friends with them, and then say, hey, is it okay? Okay, so we always follow the etiquette around it. So, as I said, 1 is your list, 2 is Facebook. What do you do on Facebook? And basically, all you're trying to do in Facebook is you've got your personal profile, you've got your page, and then you've got your groups. And your number one thing is you're going to be getting the link for them to register. Now, does it take you posting on Facebook once? No. I can tell you now, it takes me 20 minutes a day. Getting the copyright is the hardest part. I do it in notes on my Facebook page, on my Mac, because then it's on my phone. And I've got my spreadsheet, which I always tell everybody to do. When you join a group, you write the name, you write what day you can post, what hashtag day it is on each of the days. So you know on Monday when you wake up, you go into each of those groups, you hashtag, and you post. Now, the first sentence is the most important, because the first sentence has to connect with the people in the group. So for example, if I go into my BX networking group, I go, hey BX, how are you coping right now in everything? Sorry, I miss you. I haven't seen you at any of the breakfast meetings, but they're all online because they're all online now. Hey, I've got this offer if you're interested. So the first sort of line is always going to talk directly to the people in the group. If I'm posting in a group that's called Spirited Businesswoman Online, hey, spirited women in business. Hey, I'm popping this in here right now. How are you all going? Are you keeping your spirits high? Here is my offer. So it's still copy paste, but I change it that first sentence. Okay. And then you just got to be careful on how many you do per day and whether or not you change the copy per day. Sometimes I flip the paragraphs around because, well, firstly, if you post in the wrong group, the group leader will report you and then you get a spam warning from Facebook. So you don't want to piss off the group leaders. And secondly, you don't want to mix with the algorithm. If they've got you going in and hammering the groups every day, that's what I'm saying, save it. Save it for a group that genuinely is, you genuinely are helping people. And if you're just going into groups and offering all the time and not adding value, so for example, you're not adding a motivational quote on motivation day or a top tip and motivation, those are the ones to look out for. So obviously look for market, promotion, events, advertising, self-promotion. Those are all good ones, but please contribute towards the motivation, gratitude, and top tip ones, because you're not allowed to put your link in there, but that there I call is foreplay. All right. That's foreplay for the offer. Okay. So that is, so 1 is list. Number 2 is what are you going to do on Facebook? And that's the Facebook strategy of pointing people to the webinar. And number 3 then is your database. So if you do not have a database Actually, I'm going to get, let's have a look. Everybody on here today. Guys, there's no wrong or right, and we're not judging you. I can tell you that right now. Why is it being so horrible to me? Let me go up here. There we go. It's just not showing my whole screen, which is annoying me. Okay. So who here has a database, meaning you have email addresses in a email provider? So if you could just put up your hands and just let us know, just keep your hand up just so I can see, because I've got to scroll through you. So if you've got emails already in a email provider, just put up your hands. If I could see them, that would be awesome. Cool. And some of you are blocked out. That's super cool as well. Put it in the chat box, guys, if you want. So for those of you who don't have a database right now, guess what? You have time right now, because many of you works a little bit less than usual. Go and get every email address you have and put it together. So Ingrid, it doesn't matter if your list is cold. We need to be re-engaging them. All right. So number 3 out of what do you do is your database. So what can we do? You have all your email addresses. Now, whether or not it's already nice inside MailChimp or one of the other providers, I take my content from Facebook, and all I do is copy paste it into a template on my newsletter platform, put in a nice subject line, and then send it out to my database. Okay, remember the subject lines are most important, especially the first 3 letters have got to catch the people. Now, the other thing about a database is you have to read the reports. So one of the things I'm doing today, and thank you, Irene, again for changing today's appointment, is when I've finished from here, I'm going to go look at all my emails over the weekend, letting people know about the special that I have today that closes at 5, because we've got 1 space left. And I'm going to go through and have a look at who's clicked on the link to buy the program but actually hasn't finished it, and then I'm going to phone them. So a lot of people seem to think that with Facebook, you don't have to pick up the phone and you don't have to have any of the face-to-face engagement. The best that you can do is pick up the phone. And if people are genuinely clicking on your links and showing interest, they are going to appreciate you giving them a call and just saying, hey, just wondering, saw you clicked on the link, you haven't purchased it, just wondering if you have any more questions. It does close at 5 o'clock today. So you have to review your reports in your database. So right now, if you don't have one, that's your homework. Go and get all your emails. You can put them on an Excel spreadsheet, and then I think you can upload them. Lizzie can probably help us with that information. Lizzie, if you want to unmute yourself and contribute towards how that happens, or you could just manually enter them into an email provider. You don't have an email provider, guess what? Go and BCC everybody. BCC means I can't see everybody else. Stick them all in a BCC. Make sure that you've got a really good email signature, which takes 2 seconds to create. If you're not able to create one, for goodness sake, just go in and, just write a thank you and put all your business details down at the bottom. It doesn't have to be too fancy, guys. It's just got to look okay. Just because it doesn't have, like a picture like mine and all your links. If you don't know how to do that, just say, love you, Alison, here's my Facebook page, here's my website, here's my offer, and just put it in there. It doesn't have to be fancy. It's just got to be easy and neat and clean. Okay. So, and you could be letting people know. And you could just ask people, how are you? Subject line, how are you? If you want to re-engage people right now who you've had previous engagements with, you can just say, how are you in the subject line? And it's just a simple email. Long form is gone. Short form is here. Thank the Lord, because I'm a short form kind of girl. Short form is here. You go in, start the first paragraph with, hey, with everything that's going on right now, just wanted to connect, just wanted to see how you're going. It's been troublesome. Share something about your own story, so connect with them. Wondering how you are. Is there anything that you need right now that I can support you in any way? We're trying to take care of our customers or previous customers. We've got offers at the moment. Make sure you check on the Facebook page, but generally concerned about how you are right now. Would love it if you could just reply to this email and let us know. Now, if an audience is cold, you're probably going to have to send out at least 1 email a week, and you're going to have to do it at different times of the day and different weekdays. so that we can start measuring what is the best day to send it out. We have worked out for us, for my database, it's been about 4 p.m., 4 to 6 p.m. Thursday working backwards. No, I think it's Friday working backwards to Monday. Seems to be the best for us at that time. And we were sending ours out in the morning. The only way you're going to do that is by sending them at different times. It's like Facebook. You just send them out at different times. Don't worry about it too much. And then check your email provider to see when they are opening it, to see who is opening it. And if somebody's opening and clicking on things all the time, you want to reach out with a personal message and go, hey, I see you've clicked on things. Now, for those of you who don't have a database and are just sending out a normal email and BCCing them in, you're not going to have those stats. That's the only difference. You won't have those stats as to whether or not people are actually opening emails or not. And don't worry about it. You've asked them to email you back if they have any questions. And let them know. If you're currently working, let them know. My partner this morning, 4 a.m. again, because they changed legislation yesterday, again with his store. So now they've gone from 10 people to 2 people. So this morning woke up, had to recreate his whole bicycle shop now to be able to have people even further apart within his store so that his workers are not next to each other. So they've split, the 4 workers are split up over a distance. There's a delivery now. They're actually going out to the cars, picking up their bikes from the cars and taking them in and disinfecting on the way there. So they're not coming into the shop and they're keeping their distance from the cars. And then the front end of the store has an in and an out, and people have got a big waiting area now outside where they can wait 4 meters square away. Now, we've had to communicate that message on social media this morning, letting people know. And if you go onto the page, you'll see people are saying, thank you. Are you still open? I've had a lady with an autistic child. She said he's spending too much time in front of the iPad, contacted me this morning and said, oh, I just saw Sandy, that Sandy's shop's still open. Please, can you connect me? I said, not a problem. Okay, so you've just got to be visible right now, letting people know what you're trying to achieve. And how are we going to be visible? Well, we're going to be visible to our list, our immediate circle. We're going to be visible on Facebook, and we're going to be visible on our database. And how are we visible? We're visible by showing our expertise, by giving value, by success stories, sharing testimonials, and letting people know what is in it for them if they use you over something else. This is their precious time. They've got kids at home at the moment. They're pulling their hair out. Why would it be worth them listening into you? And it's not for a special offer. It's not so that they can buy something. The webinar is all about just getting them registered onto there and giving value. Now, with regards to the webinar, as I said, I haven't spoken too much about the setup of the webinar. That has its own sort of structure, which goes something like, I'll do it quickly for you. In fact, it might actually be a blog. My sister may have already written that blog up and put it on. No, she wouldn't have, because that was Care Beyond that we did. Okay, here's the structure. The structure is you always start with the payment link. So for a webinar, you would always start with the payment link. Those of you doing online sales, you'd always start with setting up the online link. Okay? From the online link, which is the ticket link, you've got to test it, make sure it works, and there's no mismessaging. Then you've got to put that into a Facebook event. You've got to get the key messaging right. You've got to get the banner right, because the banner is so super important, especially the image has got to be in the center. The subject line, again, the first 3 words are the most important. You have to put the ticket link everywhere. Remember, it's the ticket link we want people to register in, and you have to tell them what to do. Register here, register here, register here.